Hi everyone, it's itsMimiLeaks. We hit 100,000 subscribers, plus some, which is amazing, and thank you. Here's my award for it right here. It feels a little surreal because I'm talking to 100,000 very shy people, I assume, who love subbing, but not so much interacting. Since we're in a new year with resolutions and retrospectives abound, I figured to celebrate this milestone, I would do a retrospective as well. 100 years of failed predictions for 100,000 of you. One for each decade that I picked. From predictions that curdle on arrival to some that get surprisingly close. We're actually pretty creative at imagining our future. We just get some details very wrong. Before we start, if you find value in well-researched content, consider subscribing and give this video a like. And share your own predictions or your favorite failed predictions or ones that came true. I'd love to hear them and where you're watching from. Now, let's get started with the 1920s when everybody was absolutely certain that we would all individually be flying to work.
1917. Glenn Curtiss unveils the autoplane, an airplane but a car with wings that could hop but not quite fly. By then, World War I ends and thousands of pilots come home. Thankfully, by the early to mid-20s, New York scientists speculate flying cars could solve Manhattan's traffic problem by 1973. Henry Ford, seeing an opportunity, looked at his Model T, his assembly lines, and those magnificent men in their flying machine, and thinks, why not both? The fever was already spreading. A 1924 Popular Science magazine imagined personal aircraft floating over city streets like mechanical hummingbirds. And then Ford jumps in with his flivver in 1926, the Model T of the air, single seat, simple controls, $1,000 price target. By 1928, designers were crafting every man's airplane with folding wings that could easily fit in a family garage. But something else would occur in 28. Test pilot Harry Brooks crashes the flivver into the ocean off Melbourne, Florida. Ford, devastated by his friend's death, soon abandoned the project. But here's the real problem. Humans can barely handle driving on a 2D road network. We wanted to escape traffic. We would have just created it at every altitude.
50 years later, New York traffic was worse than ever. 100 years later, sure, we got our flying future, Amazon drones, and we don't even get to take the wheel.
By the mid-30s, the Great Depression has everyone broke and desperate. But look, mechanical men are strolling Venice Beach. Surely, robots will solve everything by doing all the work while humans pursue art and leisure. Then the predictions got weird. Really weird. Writers imagined robots that would, if left to their own devices, become alcoholics. Robots with mood disorders in need of robot therapists. Robots were assaulting their human help. They were even shooting their former owners. We projected so much humanity onto them that we gave them our own neuroses, because apparently even our mechanical servants needed to be as messed up as we were. The 1939 World's Fair promised robot workers by 1960, and we got them. They just skipped the part where humans got to write poetry all day.
No robot has ever needed therapy, but plenty of workers replaced by them sure have.
Turns out the only thing more depressing than imagining alcoholic robots is being replaced by sober ones.
1945. We had split an atom and won a war.
Paul Muller won the Nobel Peace Prize for DDT, saving millions from malaria and typhus during the war. In peacetime, it has the chance to end all insect-borne disease, boost crop yields, and more. What could go wrong? There were jingles. DDT could be put in just about anything. DDT wallpaper for the nursery. Ice cream trucks sprayed it on kids. At the beach like summer fun. It was the Swiss Army knife of chemicals. Killed bugs, lasted forever, cheap to make. By 1950, we'd spray our way into utopia. Small problem. DDT was killing everything. Birds, fish, and in addition, it's retained in human tissue, causing severe long-term risks. Rachel Carson's landmark book in 1962, Silent Spring, exposed how our miracle poison was actually, well, poison. Classic monkey's paw. We wished for something that killed pests and forgot to specify, but not us. DDT was banned in 1972. It turns out bugs weren't the only things that needed to exist.
1950. The war was over, but the bombs kept getting bigger. And we had this incredible power just sitting there.
Lewis Strauss, chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, would promise electricity that was, quote, too cheap to meter. If it could level cities, then surely it could power your toaster. In response, Ford designed the Nucleon. Who needs gas stations next to a nuclear-powered car with 5,000 miles as its range? The atomic toys weren't just for adults. Kids could join in on the fun by purchasing their very own U-238 atomic energy lab with actual uranium samples for purchase. The Air Force would test nuclear-powered bombers that could fly indefinitely. Everything could run on our friend the atom. Disney made propaganda cartoons about our friendly atom genie. Meanwhile, that pre-war radium face cream for a healthy glow? Yeah, that glow is radiation. We did get nuclear power. In fact, it's nearly 20% of US electricity today, but after 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, the public grew scared, preferring expensive electricity to glowing in the dark. The atom wasn't our friend after all. It was that sketchy roommate that you can't evict.
July 20, 1969. Neil Armstrong takes one small step.
America wins the space race. Now what? Well, obviously, colonization. The Army had already drawn up Project Horizon in 1959, a full military moon base and 12 soldiers by December 1966. We were 3 years behind schedule when we first landed, but hey, we made it. Permanent moon bases in a decade or two? Easy. The Jetsons were already doing their thing up there. Just a few years prior, Disney audiences were promised a lunar future, and General Motors lunar crawlers could easily navigate through moon rocks and craters. Isaac Asimov predicted thousands in lunar colonies by 2014. The moon was Earth's 8th continent, waiting for suburbs. We went 6 times, planted flags, hit golf balls, and did donuts in a moon buggy. Then in 1972, we stopped forever. Turns out, living 238,000 miles away is expensive, dangerous, and boring.
No air, no water, radiation everywhere, and the commute is rough stuff.
Over 50 years later, the moon's population remains at 0. The 1970s. The EPA was born because burning rivers couldn't be ignored any longer. Every major city had smog alerts, not just LA. Oil embargoes, energy crises. The 60s had promised domes on the moon. Now we needed them on Earth just to breathe. The space-age dream became an environmental escape pod. Winooski, Vermont, drew up plans for a 2-mile dome over the entire town. Climate-controlled paradise. No snow shoveling, no air conditioning bills, perfect 72 degrees year-around. Minnesota planned an experimental domed city for 250,000 people. Buckminster Fuller pushed geodesic domes as humanity's future. Logan's Run showed us the aesthetic, clean, controlled, safe from the dying outside world.
Winooski's bubble? HUD actually supported it. $55,000 to study doming an entire Vermont town.
Then reality hit. You still have to heat the bubble, and where does the car exhaust go? What about the view? The project failed. Obviously, we have airports, casinos. The Mall of America is basically downtown Minneapolis under glass.
We just commute between climate-controlled spaces instead of living in a giant one.
1980s entertainment had an obsession with time travel, but scientists weren't actually promising time machines. I want to discuss the real scientific breakthrough that occurred in 1987, superconductivity at high temperatures. If materials can conduct electricity with 0 resistance, they can make things levitate. From Blade Runner's flying cars to flying DeLoreans, we made one thing clear: the future is floating. Scientists caught up to the culture in 87 with high-temperature superconductors. We went from wouldn't it be cool to it's actually possible overnight. Transportation without roads and friction? Walking would soon be as outdated as horses. Japan got their floating train in 2004. Shanghai too. Top speed, 268 miles an hour. Amazing. But 2015 has come and gone. We do not have hoverboards that some of us envisioned.
And guess what? We have the technology for it. What we don't have is the infrastructure. It turns out retrofitting every road in America is kind of pricey. And then there's that issue that I mentioned before.
We are terrible drivers, so the future floats within 20 miles of specific airports. The rest of us still grinding rubber on asphalt in traffic that is somehow worse than it was in 1985. 1993. One of the first warnings came from this article on the threat we faced once the clock struck midnight, which it was theorized would make 2000 and 1900 indistinguishable from one another. Nuclear plants would melt down. Bank accounts would vanish. Total societal collapse at midnight, December 31st, 1999. The fear realized by 98. Governments stockpiled medicine. Families hoarded water, batteries, and beans. Y2k survival guides outsold cookbooks. We spent hundreds of billions worldwide fixing code because programmers in the 60s used 2 digits for years to save space.
11:59, December 31st, 1999. The world held its breath. Midnight. Nothing.
Minor glitches, some credit card machines, and that's it. Not because the threat wasn't real, it was. But for once, humanity saw disaster coming and actually fixed it. Though somewhere, Grandma's Y2k bunker supplies came in real handy during the COVID shortage. Look, I know the 2000s were all about cloning, but while we argued stem cells and human copies, millions were tapped into a virtual world and living a new life, a second life.
It was 2003. New millennium, new frontier, not a game, but a virtual world. By 2006, it had a GDP of 64 million real dollars.
Major corporations bought virtual islands. IBM held meetings there. Harvard Law taught classes. Physical reality, officially optional. American Apparel sold digital clothes for avatars. Soon we'd all live as our idealized avatars in a lag-free digital utopia. While those 21 million accounts, most logged in once, couldn't figure out how to walk, and never returned. The ones who stayed started virtual Ponzi schemes with real money. Then the asset servers crashed repeatedly, eating people's virtual houses, bodies, and life savings. We wanted Ready Player One. We got laggy capitalism with worse graphics. We did get our virtual future. It's called doom scrolling while pretending to pay attention on muted Zoom calls. And Meta is spending billions on the same promise 20 years later. The future is always virtual. Our bodies and our need to touch grass keep disagreeing. 2012. Smartphones had conquered humanity, but we still had to look down at them like complete and utter peasants. Enter Google I.O. Skydivers live streaming through glass, bikers racing across the screen. That's right, Google I.O. had given us the future, and it was face computers. We'd merge with our machines, become walking, talking search engines. It was one of the biggest inventions that year. Glass explorers paid $1,500 to beta test the future. Take photos by winking, directions in your eyeballs. By 2018, it was projected to be an $11 billion market, filled with augmented humans. Society's response was swift and brutal. Bars banned them. Resistances were launched. Glasshole became a word because some of us like our privacy. While glasses with similar features have entered the market, it didn't matter. We all became cyborgs anyway, staring down like digital supplicants. Same addiction, less eye contact.
Thanks for watching, and thanks again for 100,000 subscribers. Here's my prediction. At least one of you has the next wild forecast that will make people in 2075 laugh at us. Drop it in the comments. Hellscape, utopia, something in between. I genuinely want to know what you're thinking. Like if you enjoyed watching our ancestors be wrong about everything. Subscribe to feel better about your own predictions. Happy New Year and stay safe.